Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on, where you are in the world. This is Gloria White, and I'm coming to you from Utah, USA. Today, I thought I would share with you a notice that the apartment complex put on my door. I live in a low income housing complex, and I am on Section 8 housing. And anybody that thinks that this is a great way to live, I'm going to just enlighten you a little bit. Dear residents, this is a friendly reminder of our rules and regulations. These rules and policies are in place to help enhance the beauty of the property and your home. Failure to comply with these policies may result in violation notices or possible fines. We appreciate you taking the time to review some of these rules, and making sure that you are following the rules and regulations that you have signed and agreed to with your lease agreement at move-in. If you have questions about this, please contact us for further assistance. All trash must be properly disposed of in a dumpster. All trash must be tied off in a bag and thrown in the dumpster. Trash that is not properly thrown away is subject to a $25 fine per occurrence. On the patios, we allow patio furniture and propane gas grills only. Proof of insurance is required in our leasing office before the grill is authorized on the patio area. Any other items on the patio areas are not allowed and must be removed. If there are planters that are dead or fake flowers, these must be removed. We do not allow yard art, wind chimes, or other decorations in the planters or grass areas near or around the property. We do not allow window clings, blankets, posters, or other items hung in the windows. Blinds that are damaged will be charged to the resident. We will be walking the property on Monday, March 15th, 2021. Any items that are not compliant with our rules and regulations will receive a notice of non-compliancy issues. Failure to comply will result in these items removed by management. This may be subject to a fine. If you have any questions about this, please call the office. Thank you for your support in our efforts to keep the apartments a beautiful place to call home. The rules and regulation booklet is 1/4 of an inch thick. If you hang something on your door for a holiday, you have to remove it within 7 days following the holiday. There are no lights at Christmas allowed in the windows. They do inspections of these apartments, and they put on their notice that the apartment must be clean and sanitized. It is a challenge living here under these rules, but it is a roof over my head, and I thank God for that, and for the hot and cold running water and heat and cool at a flip of a switch. But this is what it's like living here. And when anyone moves out, we say, "Congratulations on leaving Alcatraz." They do keep the grounds nice. They keep the apartments, the maintenance is good. But I think the rules are a little extraneous in that they're very controlling. And anytime anything happens, they make another rule, another so-called law, regulation, rules and regulation to cover that. So if you should slip on the sidewalk on the snow, it's your fault. If you do anything outside of the rules and regulations, you can get a notice on your door that's a 3-day comply or vacate. They don't play. So every day you are following the rules, or you are in danger of losing the roof over your head. So anybody thinks that Section 8 housing or low income housing is a great place and boy, you're just taking a ride on the government's back, please think again. It's not all it's cracked up to be. And I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't have been struck down with West Nile virus, meningoencephalitis in 2005. I was living in a house. I was paying my house note, my truck note, insurance, you know, all my bills. And I got sick. And the doctor kept telling me, well, a couple more weeks. Well, a couple of more months. Oh, well. By 9 months, I still wasn't any better. And that's when he told me, well, you have CNS, and it's going to take about 2 years. Well, at that time, I didn't know what CNS was, but the 2 years, I mean, it absolutely floored me. I, I was crushed. I mean, I had went through my savings, and it was $30,000, but then, of course, I'd only been in the house for about, I don't know, 8 months, and I had put $57,000 down on it when I moved in. So there I was, and the housing market had started crashing. And so I was able to sell my house and get out with $7,784, which was enough to get me to Utah, close to my daughter, and rent a house with first, last, and deposit. And I lived there for probably 2 years. And if it hadn't have been for my daughter helping me, I couldn't have been there. I couldn't have stayed there very long. And then there were times that I had a neighbor pay my water bill. Several times that an elderly couple that I thought they were doing it through the church, come to find out they were paying it out of their own pockets. God has blessed me so richly. I have a roof over my head and I am so thankful. There are so many people out there in this world that don't have a roof over their head. They don't have anywhere near the blessings that I have. I tell you, when I look at people around the world, I think, I live like a king. I mean, I have windows and doors and a sturdy roof and walls around me and windows that lock and water that runs from the faucet and 2 bathrooms and the kitchen that comes on hot or cold depending on what I desire. Lights at a flick of a switch. I have clothes to wear, food to eat, medicine that I need to take that I have. I mean, I am so blessed. And every little blessing is a gift from God. And so even though I don't care for these rules and regulations and think that they are hindering my freedom to live as I wish, I guess it's a small price to pay to have a roof over my head. And when I got to the point where my daughter said, Mom, we can't help you anymore. We're going in the hole. We're going backwards ourselves. And it came, like, my rent came due. and I didn't have all my rent. I was $150 short, and my water was due to be turned off the next day. Well, I just went into prayer. I went into deep, deep prayer, and I told God, I said, God, I don't know what you want me to do or where you want me to be, but whatever that is, whatever you have for me, I'm there. Whatever position or place or situation, I was prepared because I trusted Him to provide for me and to lead me and care for me and never leave me nor forsake me, regardless of what my circumstance might become. So I went to bed that night. I slept great. Woke up the next morning about 2 minutes to 9 o'clock. And when I woke up, I was like, I wonder what's going to happen today. You know, like a little kid on Christmas morning. That's how I felt. And at 9 o'clock, I had just gotten dressed, and at 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang, and I went to the door. It was my neighbor down the street. She said, I went and paid my water bill this morning, and she handed me the receipt. I paid yours too. Oh my goodness, what a blessing. Then just as she was getting ready to go, my phone started ringing. And I said, oh, Charlene, I have to get that because I don't have an answering machine. And I put my some of my furniture on eBay or whatever it was, Craigslist or something, to try to sell some of my furniture to pay my bills, to pay the rent. And so she left, and I ran and answered the phone. Now, there's this lady on the phone. She says, I'd like to come look at your dresser. I said, oh, great. You know, so I tell her how to get to my house. And then she explains to me that, well, I had a meeting today, but it was canceled. So I could come look at the dresser today. Okay. So she comes in the house. And in the living room, I had this antique dresser, an upright dresser. It's beautiful. But I had the dresser that I had put online around the corner in the dining room, which was beautiful, solid oak, gorgeous. And but it was a long dresser. And so she says, well, she says, that's very nice. She says, but I was thinking of something more upright. Well, now, I was asking $100 for the solid oak dresser. And I needed $150 for the rent. And she says, well, I was thinking of something more upright. Now, the lady saw the picture of that dresser online. But she also saw that antique dresser when she came in the door. And I said, oh, and I pointed back around the corner. Like that? She goes, yeah. And so she goes over and she looks at it and she says, how much do you want for that? I said, oh, I'll take $150 for it. It was worth more than that, but I needed $150 and I wasn't being greedy. So she says, oh, she says, well, I have $100. Let me go see if I have any more money in my truck. So she goes out and she comes back and she hands me $150. We dumped everything that was in that dresser in the drawers, just on the bed in the middle bedroom. And we took the dresser out, and she had a little Toyota pickup truck, and she had a little camper shell on the back of it. Well, we got the dresser out there, and we put it up on the tailgate, so the feet are this way, and the top of the dresser's like laying on the tailgate. And so I said, well, we better start putting the drawers in there as we push it in. So that's what we did. That dresser fit in that truck like it was built to fit in that truck. There was like this an inch, probably an inch at the top, an inch on each side, and an inch when we closed the tailgate. So before noon, the water bill was paid and I had my rent money. And that's how good God is. That's when you surrender, when you humble yourself to Him, when you turn your life over to Him and say to Him, whatever it is that you want me to do, wherever it is you want me to go, whatever situation you wish me to be in to do your will, I'm there. And when you say that to Him, He knows that you're serious about serving Him. And that's just the way it's been. And He has taken care of me and watched over me my entire life. It's been amazing. He's amazing. Even when I fell away and into the ways of this world, He never left me. He still watched over me. And I thank God for His patience with me and not giving up on me, and for loving me and forgiving me and caring for me and giving me strength to get through difficult times and providing for me the things that I needed. Food. One time, before my husband and I left Louisiana when the recession was so bad, I had just finished a course in data entry. And so my husband comes home from, and they talked to us about maybe moving to Atlanta. The school did, saying that there wasn't work there in New Orleans, but if you went to Atlanta, there would be jobs there. And so my husband comes home that same night and says to me, I have something I want to talk to you about. And I said, well, I have something I want to talk to you about. He said, well, you go first. I said, no, you go first. He says, what do you think about moving to California? I said, what do you think about moving to Atlanta? Well, we didn't know anybody in Atlanta, but as it worked out, his ex-brother-in-law, who they were friends when they were kids, so even when him and his wife divorced, Ray and Wade stayed, like brothers. So anyway, Ray was in California, him and his girlfriend Carla. And so we wound up moving to California. And it was amazing. I mean, the way, when you think about how your life goes and how things move along in your life, and you have children, and then you have grandkids, you buy a house, you may lose your house, you buy a car, you may wreck it, but God is always there. And just know that. Just know that He's always there. And no matter what comes, He's never going to leave you or forsake you. He will strengthen you. So anyway, what I was going to tell you before I got off on that rabbit trail of my husband and I, well, you go first, we were struggling. I mean, I was going in my car and picking up, now in New Orleans, and we weren't exactly in New Orleans, but in the New Orleans area, people would put their trash out on trash day, and they would put out good things. And so I started going in my car and picking those things up. So it'd be little tricycles or a dresser or vacuum cleaners. Anyway, most of the vacuum cleaners that I picked up had maybe something stuck in them, like a sock or something. And people would just throw them out. And so I would take them apart and get the socks or whatever was in there stuffed up that stopped it up and clean them out. And then I'd clean them all up and I'd have garage sales. Well, I may have 4 or 5 vacuum cleaners selling them for $25 a piece. I had a piece of carpet. It was only about that wide, maybe 6 feet long. And I had a little coffee can, that I put some trash in, you know. And they'd say, "Does it work?" And of course, I had an extension cord there, and so they'd plug it in, and I'd dump the little sprinkle the little stuff from the can on the carpet, and they'd vacuum it up, and they'd leave with the vacuum cleaner, and I'd have $25 more in my pocket. So, and then I would refinish the dressers and things like that, and little bicycles, I'd tighten up whatever was loose on them and make them good as new, clean them up, and selling those. And anyway, my husband saw all the money I was making, because first he was like, "What are you doing? Why are you bringing all that stuff in here?" Well, when he saw all the money I was making, and this still tickles me to this day, he says, "I'll drive." So he was driving his van, and I'd get out and pick up whatever it was, and if it was too heavy, he'd come help me. But anyway, so then the next thing you know, he's painting dressers and little bicycles, and anyway, so that's how we were making ends meet. And I had a housekeeping business, and as people got laid off and lost their jobs, well, I lost my job. They didn't need me to clean their house. They were home and cleaning their own houses. So things got pretty tough, but God provided a way. He did. And the last job that I worked in Silicon Valley, I was making $27 an hour. I had money coming out of my ears. And then I sold the house I had in the mountains. And of course, that was after my husband had died. He died in like 93. He died in 1993. Anyway, after he died, I just kept working, and I kept working my way up, and I was an executive administrative assistant, and then I was a project administrator. And anyway, I was making really good money, and who would ever think that would come to an end? And so then I bought the house over the mountains in Santa Cruz, and just traveled back and forth every day. But anyway, then I got mountain lions, but that's a whole nother story. And decided, well, the mountain lions can live here, but I'm not. But really, He will provide for you. He does love you, and He will never leave you nor forsake you. But do you believe that He will? You have to believe that He will. That's where your faith comes in. Faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed. You could say to a mountain, "Move over yonder," and it would. So imagine how tiny our faith is, and how much He loves us, even though our faith is so tiny. But the more faith you have, the more things you are able to get through. The more He strengthens you, the more He is there with you. And if you talk to Him and praise Him and thank Him in the good times, He'll know your voice when the bad times come. Think of King David. And as always, I love you.